Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ways of the World, a brief global history with sources. As we continue our study of the worlds of Christendom, the worlds of Christendom, contraction, expansion, and division. And today we're going to focus on building on the Roman past for Byzantine Christendom. All right, let's start with the Byzantine State. So, the Arab Islamic expansion reduced the size of the Byzantine State in the 7th century. Politics were centralized around the emperor in Constantinople, and the territory shrank after 1085 as Western Europeans and Turks attacked. And eventually, the Byzantine Empire fell in 1453 to the Ottoman Turks. All right, so this is a map of the Byzantine Empire. It reached its greatest extent under Emperor Justinian in the mid-6th century CE. It later lost considerable territory to various Christian European powers, as well as Muslim, Arab, and Turkic invaders. So based on the information in this map, in what ways does geographic position factor into the expansion of the Byzantine Empire? Well, the Byzantine Empire's position in the Eastern Mediterranean factored into its western expansion under Justinian, which was largely relegated to the coastline in North Africa and Iberia. Similarly, its control of Greece and the Balkans facilitated its expansion along the eastern coast of the Adriatic Sea and into Italy. All right, the Byzantine Church and Christian divergence. The church was closely tied to the state, and the Byzantine emperor was head of both the state and the church. And this is Caesaropapism. The emperor appointed the patriarch. Sometimes they made doctrinal decisions, and they called on the church councils. And the Eastern Orthodox Christianity deeply influenced all of Byzantine life. Legitimated imperial rule provided cultural identity for the empire. The pervasiveness of churches and icons throughout the empire, and even common people engaged in theological disputes. Now, Eastern Orthodoxy increasingly defined itself in opposition to Latin Christianity. Latin Christianity was centered on the Pope in Rome. There was a growing rift between the two parts of Christendom, and a sense of religious difference really reflected an East-West political difference as well. And with the rise of Islam, Constantinople and Rome remained as sole hubs of Christendom. Now, important is that East-West cultural difference, language, philosophy, theology, church practice, and thus a schism happens in 1054 with mutual excommunication for both. And the Crusades, which were about 1095 on, really worsened this situation. During the Fourth Crusade, Westerners sacked Constantinople in 1204 and ruled Byzantium for about 50 years. All right, this is St. Marks Basilica. It's consecrated in 1094, and this ornate cathedral, although located in Venice, Italy, is a classic example of Byzantine architecture. Such churches represented perhaps the greatest achievement of Byzantine art, and were certainly the most monumental expressions of Byzantine culture. So based on this image and what you know of world history, let's explain to what extent Byzantine culture continued to influence culture in Italy. Italian traders, especially from Venice, where the location of the church depicted here, were active in the Eastern Mediterranean. So they would have been in close contact with the Byzantine culture. And this domed and well-colored church with images of innumerable saints and a Byzantine cross hanging from the central dome provide evidence of this interaction. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, Byzantium in the world. So Byzantium had a foot in both Europe and Asia. And there's tons of intense interaction from both sides and all over. It was the continuation of the long Roman fight with the Persian Empire. It really weakened both states that left them open to Islamic conquest. And Persia was conquered by Islam. Byzantium lost its territory. Byzantium was a central player in long-distance Eurasian trade. Byzantine gold coins, byzants, were a major Mediterranean currency for over 500 years. And Byzantine crafts like jewelry, textiles, purple dye, silk were in high demand. And an important cultural influence of Byzantium transmitted that ancient Greek learning to Islamic world and the West. And there's also a transmission of Orthodox Christianity to the Balkans and Russia as well. All right, the conversion of Russia. So Orthodoxy transformed the state of Rus, and it became central to the Russian identity. And the most important conversion was that of Prince Vladimir of Kiev. There's a top-down conversion, meant that many common people still practiced pagan rituals and held traditional beliefs. And Moscow finally declared itself to be, quote-unquote, the third Rome, assuming the role of protector of Christianity after the fall of Constantinople. Thus, the importance of Moscow. And that concludes our study of Byzantine Christendom, building on the Roman past. I will see you guys for Western Christendom.